A scientific expedition was set in Scotland to search for the Loch Ness Monster, which has been reported in numerous sightings recently. Captain Lem Gibson and his crew of scientists and experts had the state-of-the-art technology to seek out this mythical beast, including a small submarine attached to the side of the large boat. Zoologist Dr. Leslie Scott, engineer Donald Walsh, biologist and marine biologist Dr. Tammy Yu, and a repair expert Michael Tyson were the top-notch crew gathered around the world by National Geographic magazine, who funded this project in secret with almost a limitless budget. It was a clear black night with a clear white moon when the expedition took place, aiming to consume their time for the mission. The Loch Ness monsters were known to be nocturnal creatures, according to the locals who witnessed the sighting. Captain Lem Gibson brought the boat to the area of Loch Ness, where it was known as the hot spot for sightings of this creature. Engineer Donald Walsh set up a radar system to scan a 3-mile diameter around the boat for anything that might be unusual underwater, for something that may be the Loch Ness monster itself, that would differentiate itself from the natural surroundings and the marine underwater landscape. At night, Captain Lem Gibson said to the crew,
"Hey, ladies and gents, I'll make some coffee for you all. We have to use our time wisely as it'll be a loon night."
Marine biologist Dr. Tammy Yu replied,
Oh my gosh. Yes, I need to pick me up because I'm not used to the schedule.
The repair expert Michael Tyson agreed by saying,
Let's knock this out of the boxing ring. First by getting caffeinated to get some real work in.
The others either agreed or were indifferent, as they were all preparing for work. About 3 hours passed, and it was in the middle of the night. Captain Lem Gibson woke up to the radar spotting something big moving around the 3-mile diameter of the Loch Ness Lake. He then said,
"Hey, crew, I got something on the radar."
Zoologist Dr. Leslie Scott and biologist as well as the marine biologist Dr. Tammy Yu came to see what was happening. The radar sounded with clicks one after another as this creature kept moving underwater, so Dr. Leslie Scott and Dr. Tammy Yu both shouted,
Follow this thing, please, Captain Gibson.
Follow this thing, please, Captain Gibson.
Captain Lem Gibson didn't even skip a beat and said,
"Let's do this, brave hearts. That's why we're here in our freedom and on a mission to find Nessie."
So Captain Gibson sped up the boat in the direction of this creature that resembled a plesiosaur on the green radar. The entire crew arrived and watched, stunned in awe, as they all knew that it was really the Loch Ness Monster, which some of the crew members were skeptical of and were only there to be paid a fortune by the National Geographic magazine. Engineer Donald Walsh said,
Well, now I've seen everything.
while Captain Lem Gibson, with a half-crazy stare and laugh, replied to him,
"Har har har, son, you ain't seen nothing yet."
Repair expert Michael Tyson said a knockout pun,
I sure ain't giving that damn Loch Ness monster no tree fitty.
and the entire crew laughed. The boat was following this creature, as all of a sudden it emerged when it and the boat slowed down. The entire crew had the boat lights on it, and they all witnessed that it was really the legendary mythical creature that everyone called the Loch Ness Monster. The entire crew, even Captain Lem Gibson, was stunned and speechless. Then Captain Gibson whispered to the engineer Donald Walsh.
"Told you."
Donald Walsh's eyes were as wide open as the full moon. The entire crew were stunned. The Loch Ness Monster looked back at them from a distance, observing who was following it, and then gently submerged underwater. Zoologist Dr. Leslie Scott and biologist, as well as the marine biologist Dr. Tammy Yu, both expressed that we need to take more evidence back to the National Geographic laboratory to be examined, such as a blood or tissue sample. Captain Gibson immediately ran to look at the radar in his boat control room and saw the Loch Ness Monster submerging until it faded away completely from the radar tracking system. Captain Gibson told the crew,
"Yes, we did see the real thing, the Loch Ness Monster, but right now it's gone right under this boat as it submerged down and vanished."
Dr. Leslie Scott exclaimed,
So what do we do? Our mission is far from over. We have to get the sampling.
Dr. Tammy Yu fully agreed, as it was their scientific duty to provide the evidence. Captain Lem Gibson then said,
"Well, we have this submarine that could fit 4 people in it, and it's capable of taking samples underwater. I have to stay with the boat because I'm the captain, but the rest of you can go track down Nessie, and may the good Lord guide you all. I'll be waiting at the time and keeping in contact with you all.
Commotion erupted among the crew. Some of the members were not happy with this news, including the engineer Donald Walsh, because he felt like he had gotten into something way more than he intended. In reality, none of the crew members were happy, but they all knew their responsibilities when they took the job, especially when they'd all just witnessed the real Loch Ness monster, and their conscience couldn't allow them to quit, not even for the salary, but out of ethical and honest motives governed by integrity. The mission was set, and engineer Donald Walsh prepared the submarine with a checkup to make sure that everything worked properly.
All clear, Cap Gibson, this sub is as good as new.
He exclaimed.
Ladies first, please come on in. Dr. Leslie Scott and Dr. Tammy Yu, then you, sir, Mr. Michael Tyson.
Michael Tyson was feeling a bit discouraged at the turn of events, but still jokingly said,
I'd still rather knock Nessie out of this lake than to give it tree thitty.
But there was no time for laughter. The atmosphere among the crew was bleak. Dr. Tammy Yu asked Captain Lem Gibson,
Please make us all around us some coffee. One more cup of coffee before I go. It's going to be a long night.
The crew agreed that this was a dangerous situation, and they all had to be ready for any circumstances, so coffee would make each member of the team focus better. Captain Lem Gibson was happy to help in any way possible, so he made a large pot of coffee, being extra dark and strong. He said,
This will make their hair grow on your ass and chest, and I'm also talking to the ladies as well.
trying to lighten the mood, but nobody was laughing. The submarine was ready for function, and the crew, excluding Captain Lem Gibson, got inside and were ready to explore the depths of the Loch Ness Lake in the middle of the night. The submarine was equipped with state-of-the-art technology for vision and taking samples, which is the main reason why the entire crew was performing their responsibility to the job that they took upon. Just as Captain Lem Gibson dropped the sub onto the water, he released it from its physical connection to the boat and said,
See you later, alligators. Whoops, I mean Nessies. Let's get this shit on lock, if you know what I mean.
The entire crew was annoyed at this point with his sick humor due to the uncomfortable position that they were in and were in no mood for comedy. The engineer Donald Walsh was best equipped to be the captain of the submarine, since he had much experience with operating various land, sky, and water vehicles, and this was not a big deal for him in terms of adapting to operating it underwater. He said with nervous enthusiasm,
Are you ladies and gents ready to roll?
The crew knew that there was no going back, so they quietly accepted their mission and had a newfound enthusiasm for something so incredible that they had witnessed only moments ago, when they actually did see the Loch Ness monster, which they all truthfully doubted was a real creature, even before they took this job. Engineer Donald Walsh, being the captain of this small submarine, turned on the radar system and started descending to where they last tracked the Loch Ness monster when it disappeared. During the night, it was dark, and even the submarine's power lights weren't doing much in terms of seeing the depth of the area, but it was all controlled within the computer artificial intelligence system that mapped the entire voyage from the boat, and Captain Lem Gibson sent them down all of the coordinate information. The repair expert, Michael Tyson, who was bummed out by this turn of events, said to the crew,
It's going to be a long night.
Dr. Tammy Yu responded with a sarcastic remark,
You think?
stating that he's not the only one who feels this way. The entire crew sensed a bad omen in the air, as if they all knew there was trouble ahead, silently all feeling how complex this situation had initially become since the start of the mission. Finally, within about 25 minutes of descent into the dark Loch Ness Lake, the crew inside the submarine reached the area where the Loch Ness monster disappeared from the boat's radar. When they reached the lake floor, all of the underwater sand and debris surrounded the vision of the windows that the crew used to observe outside the submarine, of the marine surroundings down in the lake. It took roughly 8 minutes for the marine debris and sand to settle. Then, Dr. Leslie Scott noticed something unusual through her window inside the submarine and told the crew, and more specifically engineer Donald Walsh, to investigate it. It was a flickering light underwater that made no logical sense. The entire crew felt uneasy because more paranormal events were happening than they were not prepared for. The crew was still connected with Captain Lem Gibson up on the surface of the water and told him about what they were seeing. Donald Walsh said back to the control room of Captain Gibson,
Cap, we're at the bottom here, where Nessie was last spotted. Dr. Leslie Scott noticed a flickering light on the lake floor, which is something unexplainable and unusual. We're a bit freaked out, to be honest. What do you want us to do?
Captain Gibson responded.
Come closer to it and investigate it.
Donald Walsh responded.
Yes, sir, will do.
So the submarine got closer to this flickering light, and as they kept approaching it, it became evident that it was some kind of a portal. The entire crew felt freaked out, and the repair expert, Michael Tyson, decided to lighten the mood by trying to tell a joke, but nobody was having it. Engineer Donald Walsh reported back to Captain Lem Gibson.
Cap, it's some kind of a supernatural portal. Make sure you record our coordinates and send them back so that we know where it is inside this giant lake. What do you want us to do?
Captain Lem Gibson was speechless for about 30 seconds and said,
Wow, okay, I didn't expect that. I'll make sure to fix the coordinates and send them back to your computer system. Sit back for now and wait for my instructions.
Meanwhile, Dr. Leslie Scott and Dr. Tammy Yu were both mesmerized by this portal that was roughly 30 feet high, and they couldn't stop staring at it, as if it had some kind of hypnotizing effect. The entire crew was watching it, and then something miraculous happened. The head of the Loch Ness Monster popped out from this supernatural portal, and everyone saw it. Then it came back into the portal. During this time, the connection was growing weaker with Captain Gibson's boat on the surface due to possible electromagnetic effects of this portal. Engineer Donald Walsh tried to contact Captain Lem Gibson on the surface by saying,
Cap? Cap? Are you there? Roger that?
The signal between two marine vehicles was completely disconnected. Donald Walsh then said to the crew,
What do we do?
The entire crew felt somewhat disoriented, but Dr. Leslie Scott and Dr. Tammy Yu both said to try to put the submarine halfway through the portal so that we can go back if we need to. The crew agreed on this plan, since they saw the Loch Ness Monster stick its head out and back in, so they believed that it would be possible for them to do the same thing. As the engineer and captain of the submarine, Donald Walsh got the submarine halfway through the portal. A whirlpool on the other side dragged the submarine in all directions, and they were completely inside the portal's other side, not realizing where they were. The entire crew felt immense physical pressure from the submarine being tossed around by the whirlpool. Then, as the submarine stabilized, they looked out from their submarine windows, and instead of seeing the Loch Ness Monster, they saw prehistoric marine life, as they felt mesmerized and realized that this portal led them roughly 170 million years back in time. To the crew, now it was daylight, and as they ascended to the top of the water, their submarine broke down from the shaking of the whirlpool. What happened was what the crew feared the most. They were stuck in a prehistoric time of the dinosaurs, but now it made perfect sense to them why the Loch Ness Monster exists and is actually a plesiosaur. As soon as the submarine leveled out underwater, Dr. Leslie Scott looked out the submarine window and noticed a different biological atmosphere that was prehistoric. Many fish and creatures not seen for many millions of years of paleontological history. The entire crew was stunned and disoriented. They tried the last resort of making contact with Captain Gibson as a final straw, but they all knew that it was futile. The engineer Donald Walsh and repair expert Michael Tyson both suggested to park the ascent toward the top and dock the submarine somewhere so that it can be analyzed and repaired. Everyone was nervous, especially the ladies on the mission, because they all had no idea what to expect. But this was the most sound plan of action. The crew managed to steer the submarine to part of a prehistoric beach. They all stepped out and were astounded at how different this world was. It was a subtropical paradise of warm, shallow seas, lush coastal lagoons, and dense forests. Dr. Leslie Scott and Dr. Tammy Yu both noticed a small mammal creature about 10 feet away from them. It was a shrew-like animal that they both realized was Cruciton kirtlingtonensis. Dr. Tammy Yu tried to lure it in by reaching out her hand and speaking affectionately to it, while engineer Donald Walsh interfered and said,
Ms. Yu, We should try to leave this environment as unaltered by our presence as we possibly can, in the hopes that we can fix this submarine and come back to our time, so that the time continuum doesn't change into the future, as at the very least, has the smallest effect possible by our presence.
Dr. Tammy Yu responded.
You're absolutely right. What was I thinking? I'm in such shock. I just wanted to forget the nightmare that we are in.
Dr. Leslie Scott responded.
Yes, we all understand. We all feel the same way. But we need to get to work on trying to restore this submarine. Because it's not just this Loch Ness Monster mission that's at stake. It's our lives.
Engineer Donald Walsh and repair expert Michael Tyson were both looking into how the submarine could be repaired. The day was slowly fading into a sunset, so repair expert Michael Tyson proposed,
Ladies and gents, unfortunately, we're going to have to camp out on the beach tonight until morning time when we can resume work on fixing the submarine. Hoping that nothing will find and eat us, we will have to keep ourselves safe while sleeping inside the damaged submersible.
Engineer Donald Walsh agreed, while the ladies were in distress. Both men assured that chances are that they'll make it until morning time, and they'll keep working to fix the submarine so that everyone can come back safely to the timeline in which everyone belongs. It was cold that night, so the crew had to huddle together to keep warm, although it was a bit awkward, but as scientists they all knew that it was one of the ways to avoid hypothermia. During the night, the crew heard knocking on the submarine that was docked on the prehistoric Scotland beach. They looked outside, and it was a curious ornithopod dinosaur investigating this nuisance. As sudden as the knocking happened, a large megalosaur jumped out from the bushes and ambushed this poor ornithopod dinosaur, as it was now in its jaws lifeless. 3 members of the crew screamed, and repair expert Michael Tyson, who was a former boxer and a military man, said,
Shut the fuck up, everyone. Keep your cool no matter what. You don't want to draw any attention from this monster onto us.
And the crew suddenly went silent but were petrified at what just happened. Within minutes, a tropical thunderstorm struck the area with thunder and lightning. Everyone was petrified and eagerly waiting until morning time. The night lasted way too long due to the knowledge of how dangerous this place is. In the morning, Dr. Leslie Scott and Dr. Tammy Yu both told the men that they can't wait to get out of here, that the submarine needs to be fixed as soon as possible. The men responded that they're working on it. Suddenly, repair expert Michael Tyson noticed what really went wrong. There was an electrical burnout in one of the cables. Luckily, there was an extra set of cables inside of the submarine to replace the damaged ones. The entire crew felt relieved and begged to hurry up and to fix the submarine. Donald Walsh assisted repair expert Michael Tyson with the job. The repair expert Michael Tyson said in jokingly manner,
Bingo. That was definitely worth the tree fitty.
The rest of the crew had a nervous, relieving laugh. The repair expert Michael Tyson said,
Get in, everyone. And Donald, let's get us back to the future.
The submarine worked as new. As the submarine went into the water and descended, they had the exact coordinates where this underwater portal is. The entire crew prayed that it didn't disappear. Though through the submarine windows, the crew saw many majestic prehistoric creatures as dolphin-like ichthyosaurs and long-necked plesiosaurs, among smaller fishes and ammonites, bullet-shaped belemnites, early sharks, and massive reef-building oysters. As the crew got down to the coordinates on the computer to the portal area in the Loch Ness Lake, suddenly as they went through, all of the electronics haywired and glitched. The lights turned on and off, and the crew was in shocking suspense, whether they were at their own place of origin or somewhere else. The entire submarine was dark. Then light came back on, and the electronic technology started working once again. With a shine of hope, they heard Captain Lem Gibson on the response saying,
Roger, are you still there? Roger, where are you?
The crew was relieved to find out that they were all back to their timeline. Engineer Donald Walsh responded to Captain Lem Gibson.
Yeah, we're here. Thank God. We have a story for you that you won't believe, but it is what it is. Life is sometimes stranger than fiction.
The entire crew started hugging and platonically kissing each other on the cheeks. Captain Lem Gibson responded,
Thank God, come up here, I'll fix up some food for you ladies and gents and some hot coffee. This mission was more than we bargained for.
Engineer Donald Walsh said.
No kidding!
As the crew ascended to the boat, they came in and told Captain Lem Gibson about it. He believed them and decided to keep it a secret between them all, due to the future safety of anyone who decides to replicate this mission and may lose their lives. As the crew was overwhelmingly lucky to come out of this situation alive, they all agreed and said that the National Geographic magazine will only get part of the story, but even they can't know the truth of what happened. This way, not only will the Loch Ness Monster be preserved, but the space-time continuum will not be altered by anyone, as this was the primary cause for concern for the entire scientific expedition.